So since this is our last segment, we have a last question. Since I've just sort of been assuming, as I said, when you get to the end of the controller action, where is it going to look for a view to render? Well, implicit in that statement is the assumption that something must be rendered. So here's my question. Why is that the case? Why must every interaction with the SAS app eventually cause something to be rendered? One possibility is, well, it's convention over configuration. This is the default way that you do things. So if you're going to follow that method, then you don't have to do anything special. Second, it's because HTTP is a request-reply protocol. Third, because in model view controller, the implication is every action should be rendering its own view, or all of the above are true. So why must every interaction with the SAS app eventually cause something to be rendered? Initial voting is varied. This is one to talk about since we actually have a couple of minutes. Let me give you a hint to inform your discussion. Here's a hint to inform your discussion. Note that I did not say, hint to inform discussion. I did not ask, why must every interaction with a Rails app, blah, blah, blah. And also, I did not ask, why must every interaction with a model view controller app, blah, blah, blah. I asked every SAS app. This is a pretty universal question. I guess I could say every interaction that does not result in an error, but you know what I mean. OK, one more vote. Voting now. Voting now. Voting now. Voting now. And the good old days. OK. So let's go through the answers to this. Why must every interaction with a SAS app eventually cause something to be rendered? I hate to oversimplify, but let's go back to the very beginning. HTTP is a request-reply protocol. If you ask a question, an answer is required. The only way you can give an answer is by rendering something that gets sent back over HTTP. Now, if the user asks you to do something stupid, the thing you render might be an error page. Or the web server might render an error page saying, you're not allowed to do this, or you're not logged in, or the hell with you. But at the end of the day, it has to say something, right? Otherwise, there's an error. The question has to be answered. Convention over configuration, it's a nice thing that's in place so that as you're constructing your reply, you can save yourself the time of telling Rails where to find the various pieces needed. Model view controller implies that every action renders a view. You could make that case, but that's actually not strictly true. Model view controller is not as strict, because remember we said you could use MVC to structure things like peer-to-peer applications. And peer-to-peer applications don't follow the client-server request-reply pattern. So this question is even more general than those. It's really just because HTTP was designed around the fact that one person asks the questions, or the client asks the question, the server has to give the answer. Therefore, anything that hits the server eventually has to have a termination, which is, here's what the answer is. And there we are.